The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live gave Rick the perfect return to the franchise, and the conclusion of his spin-off makes a potential Walking Dead crossover show way more likely. After the main series ended in 2022, the franchise has continued through numerous spin-off shows, but there are plenty of clues that a Walking Dead crossover could still be on the cards. The rumored crossover hasn't been confirmed, but the likes of Scott Gimple and Andrew Lincoln have commented on the potential idea, indicating that The Walking Dead could be building towards this special event. Rick's spin-off ending makes this even more likely, as the protagonist has finally returned after over 5 years away from the franchise. While the character being back in the Walking Dead universe is huge for a potential crossover, The Ones Who Live's ending could be key to reuniting the cast. The spin-off ended with Rick and Michonne defeating the CRM and reuniting with their children in a heartwarming final scene. Although this is where The Ones Who Live concluded, the scene gives some clear indications as to what's next for the Grimes family, increasing the chances of a crossover. Rick Grimes returning to Alexandria makes a crossover more likely. Rick's return home means he will be a central part of The Walking Dead's next chapter. The Ones Who Live's ending implied that the Grimes family returned home to Alexandria, setting up the prospect of a crossover. There is no clear indication as to where The Ones Who Live's final scene took place, but judging by the surroundings, it was likely on the outskirts of Alexandria. This would make sense given Rick and Michonne don't know where the Commonwealth is and Alexandria is still an allied community that Judith and RJ could relocate to. Although the Grimes family may not stay in Alexandria, the fact that Rick is home creates an opportunity to continue his story. Returning to Alexandria means that Rick is once again front and center of the franchise, suggesting that he will likely be a big part of whatever comes next. Given Dead City takes place in the future of The Walking Dead's timeline, Daryl Dixon is the only ongoing main story that is up to date. This means the continuation of The Walking Dead's narrative will almost certainly feature Rick, and given Maggie and Negan aren't in New York at this point, they may also appear. Therefore, Rick's reunion with the main cast seems inevitable, and his return makes a crossover more likely than ever. We need a Walking Dead crossover to show what Rick's spin-off didn't. The Ones Who Live's ending means Rick still needs to reunite with the main cast. A Walking Dead crossover would also be the perfect chance to showcase what Rick's spin-off didn't. Although The Ones Who Live strongly wrapped up Rick and Michonne's story, it didn't completely tie them in with the rest of the characters. Rick and Michonne may have reunited with their children, but they were The Ones Who Live's only cameos, meaning Rick still has plenty of characters to reunite with. While there are plenty of old allies like Carol and Maggie that will feel nostalgic, there are even bigger reunions Rick must have that his spin-off ignored. After his war with Negan, Rick never really got a chance to see the former villain's redemption story. Rick witnessing Negan integrated into the main group would be a compelling bit of TV, which also proves Carl's dying wish has come to fruition. While he may not have returned to the main group yet, Morgan is one of Rick's oldest allies who could show up in the crossover, allowing the duo to share a screen just as they did back in The Walking Dead's first episode. Most importantly, the crossover could bring Daryl back to the main group and provide the biggest reunion possible. Having spent years of his life searching for Rick after his disappearance, Daryl finally getting to see his friend after all these years would be emotional, proving why the crossover needs to happen.